When people talk about retirement in the United States, they usually focus on money, weather, and lifestyle. What matters the most is the frickin' money. And will retirement actually work once incomes become fixed? In this video, we're ranking all 50 US states from worst to best for retirement, based on tax treatment of retirement income, cost of living, housing prices, safety, healthcare access, and senior services. This isn't about hype or scenery. It's about where retirement dollars stretch and where they don't. So let's take a look at the worst to best states to retire in America in 2026. Number 50, Hawaii. The Aloha State is paradise, right up until you check your bank balance and start to sob. Quietly at first, then it builds as you look at your power bill. Everything costs more here, not some things, all things, like they're trying to break your spirit. Housing is punishing, groceries feel imported from the moon, utilities are expensive, and retirement income doesn't stretch. It snaps and makes you cry in your bowl of top ramen. The fifth one this week, and it's only Tuesday. You don't retire in Hawaii, you vacation aggressively and leave. Those are the rules. Now here's the numbers. We're using different ones for different states. It's usually the ones that are the most dramatic, just so you can get an idea. But the cost of living index here is 190. The average being 100. The median home price is $1.1 million. For, let's say, a two-bedroom condo, though, it's around $500,000. Are they retirement tax friendly? Hell no. 49, California. California used to be where everyone not retiring to Florida retired to. Then the inevitable happened. Everyone and everything that could jacked up the price on everything like they were trying to scare people away. It didn't work. Well, that was until they went crazy with the price gun. Probably about 10 years ago, the cost of living and the cost of real estate in California became a punchline. It was so high. Now, it was high before that, but it got turbocharged somewhere around 10 years ago. These days, a California retirement only works if your house is paid off, your income is high, and you have a high tolerance for bureaucratic BS. Downsizing here still costs more than upsizing everywhere else. Here's their numbers. Median home price in California right now is just under $900,000. The state income tax is around 13.3%, and their senior affordability rank is bottom tier. 48, Massachusetts. Massachusetts offers world-class healthcare, amazing universities, and elite hospitals. It also offers elite-level bills, the kind you hide from your loved ones so they don't call you an idiot for living there. Try and explain Boston prices to someone from Mississippi. They will stare at you with a confusion look. You pay premium prices to be cold, taxed, and crowded while being told it's worth it because history happened nearby. The numbers. The cost of living index, approximately 150. The property taxes, high. The healthcare quality, excellent. So it's not all bad. Number 47, New York. If you thought New York was going to be affordable, you haven't been paying attention. It is crazy expensive, not just in New York City, almost everywhere. The New York retirement splits into two camps. Wealthy retirees who manage just fine. Everyone else quietly leaves. Taxes, housing, and daily costs don't care that you're retired now. They will bleed you dry. Here's the numbers. The state income tax, up to 10.9%. The median home price, approximately $430,000. The retiree out-migrations, high and not slowing down. 46, New Jersey. The Garden State is what happens when good healthcare meets relentless property taxes. You don't own a home here. You rent it from the government forever. Some states are considering stopping property tax on homeowners once they're over 65. Not New Jersey. This state's addicted to taxes, so it's definitely not a good place to retire. Here's the number. The property tax rate is among the highest in the US. The cost of living is high. It's 123. Their senior tax relief is limited at best. The good news is they got good health care. 45, Connecticut. Connecticut is where retirees stay because leaving feels exhausting. Costs stay high, taxes linger, housing never really helps. Connecticut is expensive all around, not just for retirees. Most retirees stay because of family. This is a perfect example of we know we suck, but we are going to charge you like we don't. The senior services are good. The value is not. Here's the numbers. The cost of living index is 130, and they do have taxes on retirement income. 44, Rhode Island. This is a small state, big bills, and a whole lot of frustration. Everything in this state is expensive but seafood. Rhode Island sells charm and coastal vibes, but sends invoices with no charm attached. Like all New England states, Rhode Island is a little extra pricey. Here's the numbers. Median home price, approximately $450,000. Retirement is not tax-friendly. 43 Maryland. In Maryland, retirees enjoy excellent health care while paying for it constantly. Taxes and housing near DC crush fixed incomes. Even Baltimore is expensive. That high cost comes with an extra dose of, I might get killed today trying to buy a latte. Now, not all of Maryland is dangerous, and Baltimore does all the heavy lifting when it comes to crime, but the rest of the state is very expensive. Here's the numbers. The cost of living is approximately $125. The healthcare access is considered strong. 42 Washington State. The Evergreen State has become very popular in recent years. Not so much with the retirement crowd. No income tax sounds great. Then you have to deal with very expensive housing, utilities, and daily costs. Obviously, this is going to be more of a thing on the western side of the state. You get back east near Idaho, and things start being a little more reasonable. Still more expensive than Middle America, but better than the Seattle area of Washington. Most retirees heading to Washington land around Spokane or Richland. Here's the numbers. No state income tax. The median home price, approximately $600,000. The cost of living is approximately $122. 41. Florida. Florida has been the king of retirement destinations since the 1950s. It still is the most retired top state in the country. But the problem is they are starting to see some things that are making Florida less attractive to the retirement crowd. Mainly it is healthcare wait times and insurance costs. Now no income tax helps, but insurance, housing, and crowding destroy that advantage. Florida works best if you arrive prepared, not hopeful. Here's the numbers. They have no income tax. The insurance costs are very high. Florida has the highest senior population. 40. Oregon. The Beaver State pulls retirees in with scenery and calm, forests, coastlines, a slower pace. Then it hands them the bill. A bill that is a little bit of a shock to the system. Oregon's a great place to retire if you like hiking, beer, strippers, and you got a buttload of cash. Taxes are not senior friendly. Housing in desirable areas is expensive, and retirees quickly realize Oregon works best if you don't need your money to stretch very far. Healthcare is solid in metro areas, but thin elsewhere. Oregon retirement is less about affordability and more about atmosphere. If you can afford that atmosphere, it's worth it. If you can afford it, it's peaceful. If you can't, it becomes stressful quietly. Here's the facts. They have state income tax. The median home price is approximately $500,000. The cost of living index is approximately 130, and it really shouldn't be. 39. Nevada. The Silver State sells retirement on one thing, no income tax. It is a good sales pitch. Anyone looking to stretch a retirement check gets excited when they hear that. It's a good base. Until everything else gets involved. Housing costs climb fast in retiree-heavy areas. Healthcare access outside major metros is limited. And summer heat isn't charming when you're 72 years old and running errands. Nevada works best if you're near Las Vegas or Reno and understand desert living. It's not a casual retirement state. It's situational. You don't want to retire outside a major city in Nevada if you have any health concerns. Rural healthcare is about as available as a winning slot machine. Have you ever had that happen? You start winning on a slot machine and suddenly there is a casino worker and 3 security guards telling you the machine is broke and it has to be shut down? It's happened to me. Here's the Silver State's numbers. They have no state income tax. The median home price, approximately $420,000, and healthcare access is metro dependent. 38, Colorado. Colorado retirement looks incredible in photos. Mountains, clean air, active living, towns like Aspen that none of us can afford. You know, the good life. But retirees often arrive late, after prices already surged. Housing is expensive, taxes aren't light, and infrastructure hasn't fully caught up with demand. Now here's the thing about Colorado's real estate. If you didn't want to be late, you had to show up there sometime in the late 60s. So Colorado is great if you already own there, and it's tough if you're buying now. Here's the numbers. The median home price in Colorado is $598,000. Their cost of living index is up there. It's 135. The good news is they got great outdoors and their healthcare quality is considered great. 37, Arizona. The Grand Canyon State is still one of the most complete retirement states in America, and retirees know about it. They have tons of senior communities, great healthcare networks, and a retiree culture that is visible everywhere. The problem? Everyone noticed. They noticed about 20 years ago. Housing prices jumped, desirable areas became crowded, and retirees who expected cheap desert living often show up 10 years too late. Arizona still works, but only if expectations are updated. Here's the numbers. The median home price, approximately $430,000. The cost of living, approximately $114,000. The retirement communities, extensive. The summer heat, severe. 36, Illinois. Illinois retirement is a trade. You get strong healthcare access and infrastructure, but you pay for it relentlessly. I think the people of Chicago would rather have Al Capone at their door than the tax man. Property taxes hurt. Costs vary widely by county, and retirees often stay only because moving feels more expensive than staying. The good news, and kind of what puts them here on the list instead of like higher up, they have a lot of senior services, and a lot of those senior services are free. They also have great healthcare and fairly decent access, not just in Chicago, in the entire state. Illinois rewards loyalty. It does not reward fixed incomes. Keep that in mind. Now here's their numbers. Property taxes are among the highest in the nation. The median home price here is only about $280,000. Obviously, that's way more in Chicago. Their healthcare access is strong. 35, Virginia. Virginia is a balance that's both strength and weakness. Some regions are excellent for retirees, others feel like expensive commuter zones with better branding. Taxes aren't awful, but housing can be here, especially if you get up there in Northern Virginia. Near the DC area, oh yeah, it's pricey up there. So Virginia works if you choose carefully. If you don't, it quietly drains you, both financially and spiritually. Here's their numbers. The median home price is $390,000, which is still a little below the national average, but it's still pretty high when you consider most of the area we're talking about is rural. Their healthcare quality is considered excellent, and their cost of living can be reasonable to insane. 34, New Mexico. New Mexico appeals to retirees who want space, affordability, and fewer people. Unless you move to Albuquerque, you're going to get the fewer people. Overall, the state delivers all that, mostly. Housing is affordable, cost of living is reasonable, but healthcare access drops quickly once you leave major towns like Albuquerque, maybe Santa Fe, a couple others. Retirement here requires planning ahead, not winging it. New Mexico is definitely not a state you want to wing it. If your parents ever tell you they're just going to get to New Mexico and see how it works out, take them in for a cognitive test. Here's the numbers. The median home price here is approximately $290,000. Their cost of living index sits at a solid 89. Healthcare access is limited in rural areas, but solid in metros. That's really with all states, but this one a little bit more. They've lost a lot of federal money over the years, and that has led to a closing of rural hospitals and things like that. 33, Alaska. Alaska doesn't tax income, it taxes patience. Everything costs more. Healthcare access is limited, travel is expensive, and daily life requires planning that retirees don't always want to do anymore. A lot of retirees move to Alaska and they don't want to move to Anchorage or any city. They kind of want to move to one of the small towns. They always dreamed about something like that, getting away from it all. Then they come face to face with a moose while taking out their trash. The good news about that is your inner thighs warm up as soon as you come face to face with a moose because of the urine flowing down your legs. Even worse, you run into a bear and the back of your pants warm up. Alaska retirement is for people that already live there, not people discovering it. Here's their numbers. They don't have any state income tax. The cost of living index is approximately 125. It is expensive. And their healthcare access is limited. The good news is you'd get a paycheck from the state every single year. It can be anywhere from $600 to as high as like $2,200 or something like that. It really depends on oil revenues every single year. 32, Michigan. Michigan retirement is underrated. Affordable housing, solid healthcare networks, reasonable daily costs. The trade-off is winter, but Michigan is built for it, unlike your joints. If you like to fish, if you like to be outdoors, Michigan is a great place. The sad part is you can only do that stuff for 8 months a year. The rest of the time, unless you're into snowshoeing or cross-country skiing, you're going to be indoors. But what I like about Michigan is if you're older, your neighbors are going to help you. They're going to plow your driveway for you. They're going to shovel your walkway. Not everywhere, but you have a better chance of that happening in some place like Michigan, Minnesota, or Wisconsin, and just about any place else in this country. Here's the numbers. The median home price in Michigan is approximately $230,000. The cost of living is below average. It is $95,000. So, that's solid. Their healthcare access is strong, statewide, even in the rural areas. 31, Ohio. Ohio never makes retirement headlines, and that's sort of the point. They've got affordable homes, reliable healthcare, predictable expenses. Ohio doesn't excite retirees, but it doesn't ambush them either. The best news, they don't force you to be a Cleveland Browns fan. If you move there and you tell your loved ones you're going to become a Cleveland Browns fan, be prepared. You're going to get one of those cognitive tests I was talking about earlier, or they're going to check your medication. Here's their numbers. Median home price here is approximately $230,000, so that is well below average, which right now is about $410,000. Their cost of living is very low. It's actually one of the lowest we have on this list. It's $78,000. So if you don't understand that, one of the easiest ways to look at it is if the average state basket of groceries is $100. If you take that to Ohio, that same exact basket of groceries is $78. The other good thing about Ohio is their healthcare access is strong, and it is one of the best states for healthcare. 30, Missouri. Missouri retirement is practical. Housing stays affordable. Taxes are manageable. Healthcare access exists where people actually live. It's not glamorous. It's stable, and stability wins in retirement. Always. Everyone wants stability. I love stability. I also love watching people getting tased on YouTube. It's sort of a guilty pleasure of mine. I know it's not a healthy guilty pleasure, but it's mine. Here's the numbers. The median home price in Missouri is about $250,000. Again, well below the national average. Their cost of living is also below the national average at $93,000. And when they look at retirement tax friendly, they're considered moderate. 29, Georgia. Georgia sells itself as a southern bargain. Mild winters, friendly towns, reasonable taxes, and a slower pace than the Northeast. On paper, it looks like a retirement win. In practice, Georgia retirement depends entirely on where you land. Metro Atlanta has excellent hospitals, but also tons of traffic stress and rising costs that feel suspiciously like the place the retirees actually escaped from. Coastal areas are charming, but insurance and humidity creep into the budget fast. Move to Georgia from, let's say, New England, you're going to need a whole new wardrobe, first of all. A lot of loose-fitting light fabrics. The retirees who succeed in Georgia usually choose smaller towns away from the height. The ones who struggled thought the entire state was a bargain. It is not. It's like Georgia rewards research, but it punishes assumptions. Here's Georgia's numbers. The median home price is approximately $330,000. They do tax your income. Retirement income is partially taxed. Access to healthcare is strong near metro areas, but a little less in rural areas, like we've discussed before in all states. 28, North Carolina. North Carolina feels like a retirement compromise state, in a good way. Mountains in the west, coast in the east, mid-sized cities in between. The problem is popularity. Retirees have found this place. Remote workers followed them. Housing prices noticed. What used to be an affordable retirement option now requires timing and location discipline. I've been harbored about this for over 2 years now. North Carolina is one of the most popular states with everyone, not just with retirees. It is not a bad place to live. It's affordable compared to a lot of other East Coast states. Crime is reasonable, again, compared to other states. And it's also the state I did my last paying comedy gig. But here's how North Carolina breaks down. If you bought early, North Carolina feels smart. If you're riding now, it feels a little competitive. Here's their numbers. The median home price is approximately $350,000, which is still well below the national average. The cost of living is near the national average. It's actually $101. And as far as senior communities go, they are one of the fastest growing states when it comes to senior communities. 27, South Carolina. South Carolina attracts retirees chasing coastal living without Florida chaos. And for many, it delivers, just not cheaply anymore. South Carolina gets a lot of halfbacks, they call them. These are people that moved from, let's say, New York, New England, something like that. They went down to Florida. They decided Florida wasn't for them, but they didn't want to go back up to the cold of New England and New York, New Jersey. So they went halfway back to South Carolina. Not technically halfway, but it's just a term they use. Popular towns have priced up fast. Quieter inland areas remain affordable but come with fewer services. The retirees who thrive here understand that South Carolina retirement is really two different states. Pick carefully and it's comfortable. Pick emotionally and it gets expensive. Here's the numbers. The median home price in South Carolina is $340,000. Now, as far as their income tax goes, yes, they have it. And retirement income is partially taxed. The good news is, overall, the state's cost of living index is below average. It's 97. Of course, 100 being the average. And if you get into Charleston or some other nice places in the low country, it gets up around 105. 26, Tennessee. Tennessee's biggest selling point is the same as 9 other states. No state income tax. That alone attracts retirees in large numbers from all over the country. But the secret has been out for some time now, and housing prices have jumped accordingly. Desirable towns got crowded, infrastructure strained. Tennessee retirement now rewards people who arrived early and those willing to live outside the spotlight. In other words, if you think about retiring to Tennessee now, you may have missed the boat. But if you get it now, 5 years from now, those people will have missed the boat. That's how it works. People always act like 10 years ago there wasn't a big jump in anything. There was a big jump from 10 years before that. So is it more expensive than it was 10 years ago? Yes. Will it be more expensive 10 years from now? Yes. Tennessee is not a bad place to retire as long as you stay out of Memphis. Memphis is a nightmare. It's more expensive than it should be, and it's terribly, terribly dangerous. So Tennessee still works. You can get in now and get a bargain that you'll realize was a bargain in 5 or 10 years. Here's their numbers. The state income tax, like I said, there is none. Their median home price is approximately $360,000. Retiree in-migration versus out is high. 25, Indiana. Indiana doesn't advertise retirement, it just quietly supports it. Housing stays affordable, healthcare access is solid, taxes don't surprise retirees every year. Indiana retirement feels boring, and boring is excellent when incomes stop growing. That's how it works. There's a cruise vlogger that I have been watching for years, and his cruises slowed down. Well, he retired. So instead of going on a cruise every other month, he's kind of shrinking it down to maybe 3 a year. He just doesn't have the money for it anymore, even though he makes money off his YouTube channel. And similar stories play out all across the country. But Indiana is a state for people who value predictability over prestige. Here's the numbers. Median home price in Indiana is approximately $250,000 currently. Their cost of living is below average. It's actually 87, and they have solid health care. 24, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's one of my favorite states. Love this state. Wisconsin retirement is really a test of priorities. Cold winters versus financial stability. The state delivers strong health care, reasonable housing costs, and communities built for long-term residents, not seasonal churn. Retirees who stay often talk about how manageable life feels. Your heating bill rises, your stress levels drop. Here's their numbers. Median home price in Wisconsin is $330,000. Like we've already talked about, that's well below the national average. Their cost of living is even. Yes, it is 100. And their healthcare quality is high. 23, Iowa. Iowa doesn't make retirement wish lists, but it makes retirement work. Housing is affordable, daily expenses stay low, communities are stable, healthcare access exists where people actually live. Retirees here aren't optimizing, they're settling in. Iowa is definitely one of the best places to retire. Now, just because it's not Wisconsin, North Dakota, Minnesota, or Michigan, don't think it doesn't get cold. Winters in Iowa get very cold, so you're still dealing with that. In case you don't know, if you live in Iowa, you know this. But I think Iowa is severely underrated. Here's their numbers. The median home price in Iowa is approximately $230,000. Their cost of living is low. It's actually 87 also. And they got really low crime. 22, Minnesota. Minnesota has been in the news quite a bit lately. None of it is good, but it's still a great place to retire. Minnesota is what happens when a state actually plans for age in residence. The healthcare systems here are excellent, especially if you decide to settle down in Rochester, Minnesota, where the Mayo Clinic is. Minnesota is another state that has really strong senior services. Safety is high here. They don't have a whole bunch of crime. The trade-off is taxes and cold weather. If you retire in Minnesota, you pay more, but you're getting more. Minnesota retirement feels structured and supported, not abandoned. It's definitely not cheap, but it's competent. Here's their numbers. Their healthcare is top tier, one of the best. Their cost of living is above average, it's 105. But like I said, you get a lot for that, and they have really high safety ratings. They always show up in the top 10 for safest places to live. 21, Utah. Yes, you can retire in Utah if you are not a Mormon. They take everyone. It helps if you are a Mormon, but you're still accepted if you're not. Utah retirement surprises people. It's safe, clean, organized, and well run. But housing costs in popular areas are steep, and retirement income doesn't stretch as far as people expect. Utah works best for retirees downsizing from expensive markets, not bargain hunters. You could afford it. It is a quality place to retire. They have tons of services, they have safety, and they have plenty of amenities. Here's their numbers. The median home price is approximately $572,000. Their crime rate is very low, and their health care access is strong. They have plenty of doctors, plenty of hospitals. 20, Texas. Texas retirement sells freedom. No income tax, big homes, a lot of space. What it doesn't sell well is ongoing costs. Property taxes, insurance, and sprawl quietly eats at your fixed incomes. Texas works best if you own your own home outright and choose the right region. Retirement in Texas is not a bad thing to want to do. My biggest problem is it always seems hot and dusty. Now, most of the time when I go there, it's between March and, let's say, October. Everything just always seems dusty and too warm for me. But it is a great state. Texas retirement is not cheap. It is strategic, though. Here's their numbers. They have no state income tax, so you don't have to worry about that. Their property taxes are really high, but the median home price is below the national average at approximately $340,000. Not bad. 19, Louisiana. Louisiana is one of the most affordable states on this list. The downside is most of the cities got insane amount of crime. If you move to smaller towns, you got to choose the right one, but you could find a safer life there. But it's affordable, and sometimes reality intervenes. It makes it less affordable. Safety concerns, healthcare access, and infrastructure issues weigh heavily on retirees. The lifestyle appeals to some, but retirement here requires tolerance for instability. If you are like a foodie or something like that, maybe even a history buff, or just like weird things, Louisiana is one of the best states to move to. Hiking in the mountains? Not a chance. Enjoy a good party? That's available almost every single day. Here's their numbers. The median home price here is $255,000. That is solid. Now, their crime, like I said, is high, and their healthcare is uneven. Some communities, smaller communities, rural communities, they don't have any healthcare. You've got to drive ahead of you for everything from a couple stitches to a heart attack, so keep that in mind. 18, Mississippi. Mississippi stretches retirement dollars further than almost anywhere. Housing is cheap, living costs are very, very low. The problem is support. Healthcare access and quality vary widely. Retirees who thrive here plan carefully and stay near stronger medical hubs. Meridian, the Gulf Coast, outside of Jackson. I would never suggest you move into Jackson, but on the outskirts, they got some nice places. They do have some decent healthcare in Jackson, but I would never live there. Too damn dangerous. They got all kinds of infrastructure problems. It's just nightmare, but they got decent hospitals. Here's their numbers. Their cost of living is very low. It's actually $78, so not bad at all. Their median home price is $260,000. Their healthcare outcomes, it's weak. And that's really because of access. When you don't have a hospital too close, you end up putting things off. And when you put things off that should have been taken care of months ago, they tend to come out worse than they probably could have. 17, Arkansas. Arkansas retirement is about affordability first. Everything else is second. Arkansas is a very affordable place to live. 3/4 of the state suck. And that helps drive down prices. Housing is cheap, life is quiet, but healthcare access and safety vary sharply by location. Arkansas works for retirees focused on cost control above all else. If you're big into outdoors, Arkansas is another great state for that. My suggestion, go move to Pine Bluff and stay the hell away from Little Rock. You might survive to see your 75th birthday. Here's the numbers. The median home price is about $220,000. Their cost of living is low, it's $79. Their healthcare is mixed. Number 16, Oklahoma. Oklahoma offers low cost but asks retirees to accept trade-offs. Healthcare access can be limited. Safety varies. Retirement here is about stretching money, not maximizing comfort. It's a little rough. Oklahoma is a weird state. Over the years, I've done videos on them, and I've noticed one thing. They're not terribly bad at everything. They're just bad at a lot, meaning they're not in the top 10 worst that often, but they're almost there all the time. This usually leads to affordability in a place that's not the worst, but it's definitely not near the best. But if you want to move there and you want to retire there, it is definitely affordable, and that is a big focus for most retirees. Here's their numbers. The median home price in Oklahoma is $210,000, which is not bad. Their cost of living is low, is $77,000, which is kind of mind-blowing considering Mississippi and Louisiana are a little more expensive than Oklahoma. One of the biggest downsides is the crime rate. It's high, and their healthcare access is uneven, like we've learned in a bunch of states. Any state with a whole bunch of rural areas, they're going to be suffering when it comes to healthcare. 15, Alabama. Alabama retirement can work surprisingly well if you choose carefully, very carefully. Housing stays affordable, taxes on retirement income is favorable, and healthcare access varies by region. But if you choose well, you have stability, calm, and safety. Alabama has a lot of really nice small towns and a couple really good cities. Huntsville is one, and I like Mobile. I know a lot of people know there's some crime there and things like that, but compared to other major cities, it's not that bad. Just avoid places like Anniston, Selma, Montgomery, and you should be okay. Here's their numbers. Median home price here is $255,000. Well below the national average. Retirement income taxes are considered favorable. They're not that terrible. Their cost of living is low, with the cost of living index being 79. How bad? 14, Kentucky. Kentucky doesn't scream retirement destination. It doesn't advertise itself with beaches or mountains or lifestyle branding. And that's part of why retirement here still works. Housing remains affordable across most of the state. Day-to-day expenses stay manageable. Life moves slower without feeling stalled. Retirees here aren't chasing an image. They're settling into a routine that doesn't constantly pressure their budgets. The trade-off is healthcare access. Outside the larger cities, retirees need to plan ahead and be intentional about proximity to medical services. Kentucky rewards people who choose towns wisely, not impulsively. It's not exciting, but it is livable. Kentucky's another weird one. In the years that I've been doing these videos, I do the top 10 worst and the top 10 best about all kinds of different subjects. They never make the list. They're never that good and they're never that bad. It is definitely the least talked about state on this channel because of that. I think Missouri runs a close second. Here's their numbers. Median home price here has got $240,000. The cost of living is below average, it's $79,000, and their healthcare access is strong near metro areas, limited in rural areas like most rural states. 13, West Virginia. West Virginia, I love West Virginia. The mountain state offers something few states still do: breathing room, financially and physically. Housing costs are low, living expenses stay predictable. For retirees living on Social Security or modest pensions, West Virginia can feel like financial relief. The money lasts, the pressure eases. But it's not a plug-in-and-play retirement state. Healthcare access is sparse in many areas, and actually in some of the cities too. Long drives for specialized care are common. You're probably going to have to go out of the state for a lot of different situations. West Virginia's retirement works best for people who value affordability over convenience or just about anything else. We all know that this is like one of the most depressed states we have. The coal industry died and they never fully recovered. And on top of that, they got hit with the opioid epidemic harder than anyone. They're coming out of all that, but they're still lagging far behind most states. But it's quiet, sometimes very quiet. Here's the numbers. The median home price here is $170,000. The cost of living is very low. I think it's actually the lowest on this list. It is $76,000. Their healthcare access is limited outside of a few different hubs. 12, Kansas. Kansas is one of the most stable retirement states nobody talks about. Housing is affordable, taxes are predictable, communities are steady. Retirees here aren't constantly adjusting plans or reacting to price shock. Life here just continues. Healthcare access is solid in populated areas, and most retirees settle close enough to make it work. Kansas isn't trying to win you over. They're not trying to get all the retirees to move there. But if you show up, they're okay with it. Just be neighborly, don't cause trouble, and say please and thank you. Here's their numbers. The median home price here is not $230,000. Their cost of living is low. It is $79,000. They also have very low crime. 11, Nebraska. I know Nebraska is basically the other part of Kansas. They're very similar. I think the biggest difference is the way they spell their names. That's about it. Nebraska retirement is structured, orderly, and predictable. There's no surprises here, folks. Housing prices stay reasonable. Towns are well maintained. Healthcare access is surprisingly strong in key areas thanks to regional medical centers. Retirees here often talk about how easy daily life is. The downside is cultural quiet. If you need constant stimulation, Nebraska is not the place for you. But if you want retirement that feels stable and doesn't have a whole bunch of stress, it delivers that for you. Here's their numbers. The median home price is $310,000. Their cost of living is below average, being an even $80,000. Their healthcare access is strong in regional hubs, like just about every state. Number 10, Delaware. Quietly tax-friendly, affordable compared to neighbors, it's pretty much a decent state to live in. Delaware doesn't sell retirement, it just functions. What puts them here on the list is these people do not tax anything, it seems like. I'm sure there are some taxes, but as far as retirement goes, you don't have to worry about it. There's no sales tax. They have favorable tax rules for your retirement, as they say. Their median home price is a little high. It is $400,000. One thing they do have, excellent healthcare, pretty much across the state. The state isn't that big, so that's not hard to do. Number 9, North Dakota. North Dakota retirement isn't about amenities. It's about calm. It's about wilderness. It's about flat ground that freezes every once in a while. They got low crime, low population density, affordable housing. Retirees who move here usually aren't chasing a night on the town. They're chasing a barbecue dinner, a comfortable chair, and a good book. Healthcare access is good in larger towns, and costs remain controlled. The biggest adjustment is the climate. Winters are long and they are brutal, but systems are built for it, so, it's not the worst case scenario. Move to someplace like Portland, Oregon, where we are built for rain. Rain does not slow people down here. You get some snow on the ground, it is chaos. North Dakota can handle it all. Here's their numbers. The median home price here is $240,000. That is not bad. Their crime rate is low. And their cost of living is below average. I thought it was going to be lower than it is, but it's $88,000. That's still respectable. I just thought they'd be in the low 80s. Number 8, Idaho. Idaho used to be a sleeper retirement hit. Then everybody found out about it. Ever since then, Idaho residents been trying to put the cat back in the bag, but you can't unring that bell. Everybody knows Idaho's a decent state, and it's affordable compared to places like Washington and California. The cost of living has been moving up in the more popular areas, but it's still reasonable. And they have a great quality of life, good safety, community structure, especially outside the hottest markets. Retirees here enjoy outdoor access, organized towns, and a relatively nice life. I did read an article like 3 Portland breweries are moving to Idaho, while most are young people move to Portland for jobs and a more exciting life. That's weird. But if you want to move to Idaho and live a comfortable, affordable life, I would avoid their biggest city, Boise. It's a nice place, it's just getting more expensive. If you move to some of the smaller towns, you can find a really nice place to live and it's going to be more affordable. Here's their numbers. Their median home price is about $512,000, which is just a little bit above the national average. Their crime is low, and their access to healthcare is solid. Their cost of living is a hair above the national average. It's 101. Number 7, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is one of the most complete retirement states in the country. Housing remains affordable, healthcare networks are extensive, taxes on retirement incomes are favorable. Retirees can live near a hospital without paying coastal or metro premiums. If you want to live in a small town, I've talked about it before, but move to Honesdale. They have a really big hospital in town, and this is a small town. Now, it services all of Wayne County, but Honesdale's a great town. They got a big hospital. You should move there. Here's their numbers. The median home price is about $280,000. That is not bad at all. The retirement income tax is considered favorable. Their cost of living is 102, a hair above the national average again. Their healthcare access is strong statewide. Downside is it gets pretty cold, and Philadelphia is a nightmare. Number 6, South Dakota. South Dakota retirement is financially efficient. No state income tax, low cost, stable towns. Retirees here often describe life as calm and uncomplicated. There's less noise, less pressure, and fewer budget surprises. This is usually the biggest surprise that happens there. South Dakota is not glamorous, it is reliable and a decent place to live. The weirdest thing, it's really only known for two things: a motorcycle rally and a bunch of granite heads on the side of a cliff. Here's their number. State income tax, nothing, nada, zero. Cost of living is low. It is 98, so a hair below the national average. You just can't even talk today. The median home price is $300,000. That is not bad. Number 5, Vermont. It's surprising that they're this high on the list because Vermont's a pretty expensive place. But Vermont retirement prioritizes safety, quality of life, and community. It's not cheap, but it's intentional. Services work, healthcare access is strong, towns feel connected, and retirees here feel like they're supported by the local government and the community. Even if they pay a little bit more, it's still a great place to live. Vermont is for people who value how life feels over how much it costs. And here's their prices. The median home price in Vermont is $415,000, low with I, but still below the national average. Barely. Their safety is very high, and their cost of living is 106, so above the national average. Their quality of healthcare is high. Number 4, Maine. Maine is about the exact same thing as Vermont. Maine retirement is quiet in the best way possible. Almost no crime. It's Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are always the states with the lowest crime rate. But Maine has a slower pace of life, strong community identity. Coastal areas do cost more, like every coastal areas, but inland towns remain affordable and practical for retirees. Maine attracts people who want space, not stimulation. You know, you want a nice walk with your dog over bungee jumping, that type stuff. Here's the numbers. The median home price here is $399,000. Now, if you get near the coast, you're looking at $800,000 and up. They have a very low crime rate, like we already discussed. Their healthcare access is good in regional centers. Maine has a lot of rural areas that are far away from everything. Their cost of living is $105. Number 3, New Hampshire. Again, New Hampshire, just like Vermont and Maine, almost the same place. New Hampshire consistently ranks near the top for one reason: stability. Actually, two reasons: safety. No broad income tax, low crime, strong healthcare, well-run towns. The only downside is housing costs, but retirees often accept it as a trade for everything else working smoothly. Here's a bummer. The median home price here is $535,000. That is well above the national average. They have no state income tax on wages. Their crime amongst the lowest, like we talked about, and their healthcare quality is high. Number 2, Montana. Montana retirement appeals to people who want space, quiet, and don't want to be gouged by the government or local businesses. Housing is still affordable in many areas. Taxes are manageable, crime is low, life moves at a pace that doesn't constantly demand attention. Now, if you live near Billings, Missoula, or Bozeman, you're going to get good health care. Outside of that, just like any rural place, you're going to have a drive. So why are they so high up on this list? It's the outdoors and the community involvement for retirees. If you like to be outdoors, especially if you like to fish, Montana is your place. If you want to be just left alone, it's great. Montana has one of the highest quality of life scores in the country. It's a sleeper, I know. They're also one of those states that I've seen as talking about getting rid of property tax. Now, it's just talk, it's not confirmed, but if they're talking about that, it's a good thing. Here's their numbers. The median home price is about $477,000, but most of the time that comes with a pretty good sized lot. They have a lot of open spaces, so their lots aren't shrunken down like they're in California. Their cost of living is near average. It's 102. They have low crime rate and access to healthcare, again, strong in regional hubs. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to another state, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. It's a great website. They can help you get in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. Number 1, Wyoming. Wyoming has a lot of the same things going that Montana does. The stability is the biggest thing. The open spaces is second. They've got no state income tax, they've got manageable costs, affordable housing, quiet towns, predictable budgets. Retirement here doesn't require constant adjustments or financial gymnastics. It just requires you show up and enjoy it. Sure, the weather can get a little harsh and there's a lot of open spaces between towns. Live near one of the major towns and you'll be fine. They have no state income tax, like I said. Median home price is about $493,000. Again, they get a little extra land for that, and it's below the national average. Their cost of living is just a hair above the national average at 101. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. And go out, have a great day. Be nice to each other.